This is the world's only system that measures nutrient deficiency and corrects it, and is moving into the next era of hyper-personalized nutrition. We've measured 28 million people with Nobel Prize-winning physics. There's no arguing the parameters, how the study was done. It's a direct cellular measurement. It's either in there or it's not. And we found that only 1% of people are getting enough antioxidants.
What you're doing involves two very different things at once. You are explaining that human beings function a certain way at the cellular level, and you're also addressing some nuance and some bioindividuality.
It's scanning right now. Believe it or not, we're halfway done.
Oh my gosh, so fast.
And 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to Golden Girl, a space where we dive deep into health, healing, connection, and community. I'm your host, Becca Golden, and this podcast is all about sharing and documenting my journey. Each episode, we'll discuss topics like health and wellness, what I'm learning in therapy, work-life balance, relationships, community, and all the ways I strive for more aliveness and presence every day. Let's dive in. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Golden Girl. Today, I'm sitting with Ryan Encinas. Ryan is a holistic registered nurse with some additional training in nutrition, biochem, and genetics. Ryan is also the founder of the Holistic Hub, and he just launched this super cool new device that we're going to talk about today. This episode is for you if you've ever wondered, are my supplements working? What is oxidative stress? What's a free radical? How do I make sure that my cell permeability is what it's supposed to be? If you have questions about those things, we're going to learn all about it and more. So, Ryan, thank you for coming on the podcast.
Golden Girl, Becca, thanks for having me. This is great. Always a pleasure to film a podcast in person in Austin, Texas, home for a long time. So thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I'm glad you're here. I know you're so passionate about what you do today, but for context, can you tell us about your background and how you got to where you are today?
It all started when, I'm joking. I mean, how do you start, your story of where you came from? I mean, I was born and had a young mother. We were raised by my grandparents, who my grandfather just passed away 3 days ago.
Oh my gosh, I'm so
And it's okay. He had a beautiful life and now is with his wife and many others, including one of his daughters. But I say that because this man taught me how to think. And he never told me I was wrong about anything. He asked me why. Why do you think that? And then he told me and my grandmother why they thought what they believed or their perspective. So looking back at 43 years age of life with my own daughter, who I'm raising now, who's almost 1, teaching someone how to think, not what to think, is important. And that's what real science, real spirituality, and real parenting is. So beyond that, I was an only child and just fascinated by biology, National Geographic's David Attenborough and Jacques Cousteau. Biology's rad, and there's so much of it on this earth, and we're part of this ecosystem. Our bodies are, humble vessels of this planet, and that ties into nutrition. So I was fascinated always. Very curious individual, and I'm 43, so Matrix came out while I was in high school. I never had a grand awakening. I knew I was in the Matrix before that movie came out and joked about it with a few select friends. So then I got into nursing, but not just any nursing. I was in cancer research at the #1 cancer hospital in the nation, MD Anderson in Houston, Texas, and did surgery. And I helped with surgery. I had my hands in there. I'm trained to assist. So I've done every surgery you can think of except for open heart. I just never wanted the call that came with the heart team. But I ended up going back to school for nutrition, biochem, and genetics because no one could tell me what an antioxidant was. And after being a former semi-pro athlete, I had my own business helping people get off of medications and restore the #1 driver in every single diagnosis, which is diet, lifestyle. But we have to kind of define what that word means, which we'll get into. But yeah, that led me down this path. And then someone from this company reached out to me. Lo and behold, oh my goodness, this was the world's largest nutritional and genetic research team in the world, measuring over 28 million people with Nobel Prize-winning physics, but also scientists that left Big Pharma and gave them the middle finger 40 years ago. These were drug discovery scientists making big drugs like the first statin, birth control, and even organ transplant drugs that are used today. Well, all those things were invented from nutrition. And so you can't patent nutrition. And we'll get into some of these, things of proprietary blends and these things that some people think are bad, but there's just more knowledge that needs there. But anyways, these guys started this company and largest nutritional database and researcher, medically and clinically validated products. And I mean that every product has got clinical studies on it. And then we have this device that can measure. So then I was like, this is a no-brainer. I can not only scale more than the people I can meet and talk to, but I can help an audience on social media. I can film a documentary about women's health that's being released at Cannes and just reach a lot more people. I can help providers, health professionals, learn the information that I know. And that's how I got here. And now it's a global mission for 10 million healthy homes, creating health sovereignty, which is education.
Thank you for sharing all that. It sounds like a really cool way of landing where you are, having that type of background with all of the surgeries and being a part of Western medicine.
Yeah.
Now, what is your stance on Western medicine with all the tools you have available?
Yeah.
Holistically.
I mean, Western medicine is fantastic for an emergency.
Mm-hmm.
It's great, but we don't live in a state of emergency. And the sad economic fact is that healthcare is the number one and fastest growing business in America. So New York Times just had an article about that a couple months ago, and it was celebrated, but for the wrong reasons. Because if we're building more hospitals and providing more symptom management and sick care, we're not really treating root cause. By definition is nutrition, but it's nuanced. We have to understand that nutrition medically, legally, cannot treat, diagnose, or be used as prevention for a diagnosis.
In the US, right?
Most of the world.
Really?
Because of insurance and billing in the medical system. So every diagnosis is actually a billing code.
Mm-hmm.
So very familiar. This was in surgery. I was director of surgical hospital. So I saw billing and fraud and all kinds of stuff firsthand. And doctors aren't the bad guy. It's a system that trained them. We all have these golden handcuffs, which everyone does from living in the matrix and running on the hamster wheel of trying to put a roof over our head. And so the system is set up that way. And so fundamentally, we have to take a step back and understand these things.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not political, but current administration is kind of changing things where every medical licensed professional, a dietitian, a nurse, a doctor, all have to take continuing education course credits every year to maintain their license medically.
That hasn't been the case forever?
It has been, but what's changed now is moving forward, all nurses and doctors have to do a CE or continuing education credit in nutrition.
Wow.
It's a step in the right direction.
And was there ever a time where nutrition wasn't even required in the education?
Until now. Most doctors have 6 hours or less of nutrition. They have biochem and biochemistry in regards to medications and disease function. So there's the legal loophole, okay? I can talk about nutrition and talk about the mechanism of action of a disease in regards to nutrition, and there's robust studies. But the moment I name a disease and say nutrition can do this, for instance, diabetes, I can't tell you that I can cure diabetes because YouTube and the FDA, FTC will shut you down, but I can talk about insulin resistance all day long, which is the mechanism of action of diabetes. But nutrition, everything, the whole world agrees. When you ask anyone, what's the number one factor in any diagnosis, or how do you improve the symptoms of any diagnosis? It's better understanding nutrition. And maybe that's a good segue into diet and what it actually means.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's good. I mean, I think a lot of people, when they think of diet, they don't even really think about what it's doing for their body. They might think about what it's doing for their appearance or what it's doing for the hours it takes for them to meal prep, convenience, things like that.
Yeah.
But I think until you start not feeling well, you don't really realize that what you eat is impacting how you feel.
You have 1,000 problems in the world till you have one health problem.
Exactly. So yeah, let's talk about diet.
So it's not something you argue over, which everyone does.
What do you mean it's not something? Yeah, go on about that. What does that mean to you that you don't argue over it?
Because your diet's different than my diet.
Mm-hmm.
We're not just talking about bio-individuality. So let's define diet first.
Yep.
And we're going to do that through etymology, the study of all words throughout history.
Mm-hmm.
We go as far back as Sanskrit and Mandarin and Hebrew hieroglyphics, pictographs are older than hieroglyphics. When we do a translation, we have to understand there's a psyops on connotation. So marketing and media tends to take a word and push it to a negative and positive only connotation that doesn't really include what it actually means. Like diet or like the word indulge. When we think of indulge, we think, oh, I'm indulging in pizza and donuts. But really, I'm indulging in this conversation. I indulge in my daughter's embrace and hug and giggles. I indulge in play and all these fun things. So diet literally means way of life and that I have a plan. It also reads that everything that I absorb, take in, that makes me breathe easier and restrict all else, then my purpose is found.
The way that you just defined diet to me is what I would think of probably as consumption or like intentional consumption. I
Every
never would have thought to use the word diet for that, but it doesn't. I mean, I guess I would have thought to apply the word diet to other facets of my life,
Mhm.
like content diet. Like, what does my diet look like in
Yeah.
terms of what content I'm consuming and what people I'm surrounding myself with? But I really never would have thought to use the word diet, but it makes perfect sense. You're discerning what is part of your life or not.
What serves you in every level.
Mm-hmm.
It's holistic because we're talking about your belief system, your internal dialogue, how you show up in relationships and conversations, your word choice,
Mm-hmm.
but also the music and media you consume, But in relation to your nutrition, now we're talking about nutrients, which you could argue love is the most powerful antioxidant. Everything's a nutrient. We're talking about inputs and signals.
Mm-hmm.
Are you giving your body more of the correct signals and inputs versus negative ones?
I just realized I think this is probably why people use the phrase diet and lifestyle together a lot now.
Yeah. But really, it's just all diet.
Mhm.
You don't
Yep.
have to, it's kind of like saying I'm a human man.
Right.
You're a human female. Yeah, of course.
Mhm.
But you're also female. We understand you're human. So
Mhm.
lifestyle encompasses diet by definition when we understand what that word actually means.
Right.
So foundation is not sexy because of marketing consumerism. Oh my God, give me some NAD, some ethylene blue, all these things. I don't mess with any of them, by the way,
Mhm.
because your body's never deficient in those things. Your body makes them all naturally. You're deficient in the foundational nutrients, which only come in 6 categories.
Can you talk about what that is?
Yeah, it's simple. My job is to make big science and big spirituality, big physics simple. And that's what I do. I talk to researchers and doctors and, stay-at-home moms that want better health for their family. So the 6 simple things that every cell and every human needs, regardless of your dietary preference or tolerance, are minerals, vitamins, antioxidants, protein, fiber, and fat. That's pretty easy to get healthy fats. Your omega-3 index needs to be balanced. Non-processed harmful seed oils, because sesame seed oil is great. Black seed oil is great. It's how it's made. You can't just lump everything into big terms like that. Very easy to get protein. It's only 20 amino acids. Eat some good protein. I don't care if you get it from fish or plants or animals. Doesn't matter. It's really unethical for me to tell someone from Asia, whether they're, Asian or Indian descent, they may come from a lineage of not eating much meat and have genetic mutations. It's my job to make sure you're getting enough of what you need and every cell needs. Then we move into fiber. Eat real food. You're getting fiber. You got to chew, got to use those muscles, get the enzymes activated. But it's the 3 categories I mentioned in the beginning that are the hardest to get because of modern farming, processed food, and environmental toxins.
And that's vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants.
Yeah. And antioxidants is a buzzword. It's like peptide. Everyone says it, but not many people know what it means. And that's why I went back to school for nutrition and minored in biochem and genetics.
Can you tell us then
Yeah.
what is an antioxidant?
Well, Lester Packer is the father of antioxidant. He also sat on our board for a company that got this device until he passed away. Wrote over 70 books explaining what antioxidants are across multiple sciences. And basically, you can talk about grounding. What happens when you ground? Well, the body is offshooting acidity or too many protons, and the earth is giving you electrons. You also get electrons when we hug someone, we pet someone, touch a tree. Your bed sheets are properly grounded or wood. And at the end of the day, that's all it is. We're lowering inflammation by donating an electron. A free radical is like an unpaired electron. Electrons love to be paired together.
Okay.
It's like yin and yang, man and woman. It's just biology. It's just the way our world works and all these patterns that are throughout different forms of matter and biology. So a free radical is an unpaired electron. And when you have a lot of free radicals, well, we call that oxidative stress.
I'm going to backtrack you because if I'm just trying to think, if I'm any listener or even just if I'm the one listening, I may have gotten lost just now in what you said. So back to the electrons.
Yeah.
Just like the physics, biology basics, electrons are going to need the opposite charge.
No, they just need a pair.
They just need a pair.
They love to be paired together, just like two parrots, just like a husband and wife.
So electrons are in pairs.
Yep. So it's the way they prefer to be.
And throughout our modern life, is that what causes us to have them not in pairs? Because pairing is through hugging trees and grounding, and we're not doing those things.
And nutrition. Unpaired is also necessary. We have to stress things to enact change.
Okay.
So we stress our muscles to grow them. You don't
that unpairs the electrons or just creates electrons?
It sends a signal. We can't have no oxidative stress or no free radicals. You die.
Okay.
It's necessary. It's kind of like playing Tetris. Well, if you put it on the super hard challenging mode, you'll quit really quick. Yeah. Same thing if you put it on the super easy mode, you get bored really quick. But you find that the flow state, the optimal, and that's like working out. You push too hard, you're too sore, you can't work out again the next day. You did too much.
Right.
You do too little, well, you're not pushing your body hard enough to enact some change. So that stress is a change, is a signal, when really we're just shifting our biology, shifting our mindset with the appropriate level of stress, because nothing comes without stress. Every difficulty in life or stress is an opportunity to grow. And that's true for your radical ownership. That's true for your biology. When you stress your body a little bit, you're telling it the opportunity to do what it needs to do, whether that's heal or produce hormones or grow muscles or learn a new skill. That's stressful to learn a new skill. How'd you learn how to do a podcast? Well, you did it a couple times, and then it came hardwired. You got used to it. Same thing. So you're getting the right level of stress. Too much stress, bad. It's the Goldilocks zone.
Okay. So the body is naturally going to go through periods of stress. That's normal. That's natural. We want that so that we're continuing to grow. However, that stress is creating individual electrons that need a pair.
Yes.
Okay.
And we call that a free radical.
A free radical is an electron without a pair, right?
It is an unpaired electron.
An unpaired electron.
Yeah. It's lonely. It's like, I need somebody. Somebody, please. I'm lonely. I'm over here on, Tinder and swiping, and I just need another electron.
I'm picturing a salt and pepper shaker, but it's just one of them, like the salt shaker without the pepper shaker.
Exactly.
Just miss it. It's like, where is my other half?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. And it doesn't care where it gets that other half from. So when a free radical hits the cell, it's gonna take that electron. But when we have that happening too much, too often, well, that's what we call inflammation. There's 3 terms, and they're all synonymous. Okay. It's the difference in saying one fish, a lot of fish, an entire school or ocean of fish. So that's free radical. That's oxidative stress. And it's inflammation. And guess what? Every single diagnosis you can think of is filled with inflammation. It's just a system, a diagnosis of telling us where that inflammation is in the body. Is it in my eyes? Is it in my thyroid? Is it in my GI tract? Am I having an autoimmune response? Is it arthritis? Is it arthrosclerosis? Is it in my vessels in my heart? Where's the inflammation? Not why, but where. That's all a diagnosis is.
Didn't you tell me that anything ending in itis is just inflammation of the thing?
Over 800 billable diagnoses that all mean inflammation, but no one's trained on the why. The medical term is idiopathic. We don't know. Idiot. We don't know. Well, it's idiopathic inflammation of the pick a body part. Really, the driver of that doesn't matter what diagnosis we're talking about.
Mhm.
There's only two causes and two causes only.
Mhm.
And that is chronic nutrient deficiencies, plural, and toxin overload. It's never just one toxin. It could be mold,
Mhm.
glyphosate. We live in the modern world. We're full of toxins everywhere. And it's really hard to measure all of them. Same thing with nutrition. You're never just deficient in one thing. Everyone rants about magnesium. It's great. But did you know every mineral has a counterbalance? Calcium and magnesium balance each other. Sodium and potassium balance each other. Copper and zinc balance each other.
Mhm.
But it's an ecosystem, just like the garden or the park that you go to. If you took one species, one nutrient out of that ecosystem, you're going to change the entire ecosystem. Take one frog out, see what happens. Take one tree out and see what happens. It will adapt, but it will not be the same.
Mhm.
So we must shift our harmony with proper nutrients, foundation. Not sexy, but that's where everything is. Get the foundational right so we can lower inflammation,
Mhm.
increase antioxidants, and that's what antioxidants are. The big blanket term. We got a couple dozen different vitamins, a couple dozen different minerals. There's hundreds of thousands of different antioxidants. And there's subcategories, just like species of fish or monkeys or birds.
Mhm.
They all do different things and have different mechanisms of action. They do different things in the cell.
Yeah, I think if I were listening to this podcast 2 years ago, I would be objecting to what you're saying because I would say, "Well, I already eat really healthy though, and I'm still not feeling well. So I just am so sensitive that I have to take these supplements." Like I had this narrative in my head that my body was defective and I was just extra sensitive. And it actually wasn't just an idea in my head because my body would prove it to me
Mhm.
over and over that that narrative was the only explanation for all of my symptoms. But the reality is that there were all of these environmental toxins overloading my system, and that was what was causing chronic nutrient deficiencies, multiple. But
Chicken before the egg, because you might have had those nutrition deficiencies beforehand, because also healthy people have the same germs as sick people.
Mhm.
There's no differentiation there.
Yeah, I was definitely in a much worse place with my health on all fronts. I was not taking care of myself in any way. The diet that you described, it was like the worst possible diet possible because I was working all the time, I wasn't sleeping, I was stressed, I wasn't around people, I was isolated, I never saw the sun, I didn't move my body, I was eating chemicals all the time.
Yeah.
Like, every single facet of my well-being was not being taken care of. So I would justify it by telling myself that I just wasn't designed for health. My body isn't set up that way. I really thought I was genetically
That's the best marketing in the entire world, isn't it?
right.
That's the
Like,
medical marketing.
yeah,
You
and I
spend
felt
more
for
money
it.
on marketing, on media, on
Mhm,
teaching, providers. 80% of pharma profits is spent on marketing,
mhm. Oh, yeah, and I was
you know?
on lots of different medications that I believed I absolutely had to have.
Yeah.
Like, I really thought my life depended on those things. And it wasn't until my health started really falling apart in a big way that I couldn't ignore that I started asking more questions and learning more about what to support with my body. The first thing I did was a hair tissue mineral analysis.
Yeah.
And the ratios you just described, mine were so out of balance
Yep.
because I wasn't taking care of myself. So it's amazing, even just one of those 6 things that were in your 6, just the minerals, addressing that alone gave me, like, 50% more health than I ever had in my life.
Yeah. And it gets so nuanced, right? It's so complex. And I've, had the pleasure of studying these things for decades and working with researchers in various specialties. I'm not the genius. I just put it all together and try to make it easy to understand for folks. HTMA is
Mhm.
fantastic. There's also LEGO Scan. It's based here in Austin.
Oh, I want to do one.
I'll connect you with
I don't know what it is, but I'm
the owner's
interested.
son. It works similar to our device. It uses physics and light to measure direct tissue because your hair is great. It's a detox pathway. So are your tears, your sweat, your urine, your stool. If you're a female, your cycle,
Mhm.
but also your breath out and any mucus production is detox, the skin flaking off. So hair is only one detox pathway that we're measuring. I like the tissue measurement because that's telling you what's going on inside your cells.
Mhm.
I find it to be a bit more accurate. And
Cool. Yeah, I definitely want to.
and that's why our device steps into the realm of cellular nutrition. Literally, are these things in your cells or not? Because to your point, you said earlier, we think we're eating okay. And even today, if we're eating organic and all these things, we really don't know because you're not testing that food. Its convenience was and consumerism destroyed our health.
Mhm.
So if we're not measuring, we don't know. And then it's not a real good way to measure a lot of these nutrient components. We measure blood, but it's a snapshot. Some tests are a little different, like your A1C gives you a, couple month window of your blood sugar regulation. But most other tests can go up and down pretty quick in hours.
Mhm.
And if you measure, you're going to get different ranges, but it's about the average of those things. But none of those are telling you what's going on specifically directly inside the cell. Only a biopsy does that. And you're not doing biopsies at your annual physical. And no science ever went on one data point. So why would you change your entire life from testing once in a year? And furthermore, any test that you do that's lab and blood, why would it be out of range? Well, back to those basics we talked about. Only two reasons: chronic nutrient deficiencies and toxin overload. So take your pick. It's both always, but nothing's really measuring that. We've only had 5,000 devices for the past 20 years. We've measured 28 million people with Nobel Prize winning physics. There's no arguing the parameters, how the study was done. It's a direct cellular measurement. It's either in there or it's not. And we found that only 1% of people are getting enough antioxidants. They're absorbing enough fruits and vegetables, even if they're organic and regenerative grown, all that stuff, simply not getting in, which could be gut issues and other things. But that's baseline. Hey, we know you're not getting enough of nutrients you need that are not just any nutrients that regulate that big word, cell membrane permeability.
Mhm.
You're gonna be like, what? What do you mean permeability? Well, how everything gets in and out of every cell.
Yeah.
That's permeability. Like cells don't have mouths, they have little hands and sit on a dinner plate to eat. All the nutrients they have and receptor sites for your hormones and everything to get in and out. It's also your detox pathway at the cellular level is that permeability.
Mhm.
But these compounds we're measuring regulate cell membrane permeability. So this is it's like a credit score on your health.
Yeah.
The higher your score, the more protection you have from free radicals, and the better every cell is at absorbing everything and detoxing everything. So people, get on peptides and HRT and all this stuff. And there's a time and a place. If you're in a critical spot, go for it. But it's not a long-term solution.
Right.
And if they think it's a long-term solution, you got to keep upping the dose. Why? The drug works just fine. It's standardized. It's listed in the PDR, the physician's desk reference, highly scrutinized. Our products are also listed in the PDR from a nutritional standpoint, one of the only and the first over 30 years ago. But that hormone, that drug, the receptor is not working. It's being oxidized by free radical damage, oxidative stress, inflammation. There's no medication that improves the receptor function.
Right. So this is all going back to the same concept. I'm just going to try to echo what you
Yeah,
shared. So your cell permeability is the ability for things to get in and out of the cell, which you want to work optimally. You want things to get in when they're supposed to get in,
yep,
and you want things to leave when they're supposed to leave. You also want the cell to keep out the things that are not supposed to be in there, right? Like this is something that you just want the cell permeability to be working well, right?
always.
Always. And if it's not working well, that's going to lead to a cascade of health problems, which our traditional Western medicine tests are not only probably not going to be able to identify very well, but even if they did, their solutions for those problems would be really limited and it would just be masking the symptom. It still would not go back to addressing what was causing the permeability to not be working well in the first place. Is
Yep.
this accurate?
Accurate.
Okay. And then can you just clarify for me? I'm getting lost between cell permeability and then the oxidative stress.
Mm.
Is the electron that's the unpaired electron, is that something that happens when the cell permeability is not?
It's what causes, it's a factor in the cell permeability dysfunction.
Okay. So if you have too many free radicals,
Yes.
that leads to oxidative stress and inflammation, and that's going to cause your cell permeability to not be optimal.
Correct. And another way to say that is lipid peroxidation,
Okay.
because your cell is made of a lipid bilayer membrane.
Mm-hmm.
So it's fat. It's a bubble of fat.
Mm-hmm.
It's got all the receptors, the doors and locks on it.
Yeah.
And that fat is how everything gets in and out. That's the permeability. But that it's lipid, fat, and then peroxidation. It's oxidizing, which is what free radicals are doing. They're rusting. It's like cutting open an apple
Mm-hmm.
and it looks juicy and fresh and beautiful and crisp. But you leave it out, it starts to brown.
Yeah.
That's oxidizing. Oxygen is the second most reactive element on the periodic table. It's highly reactive. The only thing that's more reactive is fluorine, which another name for fluorine is fluoride.
Ugh.
Exactly. So that's number 1 and number 2
Okay.
on the periodic table of most reactive, naturally occurring elements. Oxygen is highly reactive. So it's rusting, which is decay, entropy, death.
Mm-hmm.
A star can also rust. It can oxidize.
Wow.
And if there's too much gravity, it'll turn into a black hole.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's the same pattern in all of nature. Whether we're talking about a sun, our bodies, or physical rust on an old car or fence, it's rusting. And that's what oxidative stress is. It's oxidizing, oxidative stress. So an antioxidant says, whoa, 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 I don't want to rust yet. I'm going to give you those electrons. I'm an antioxidant. And there's a lot of different types of antioxidants. And that's where people get lost in the sauce. And then people claim they have antioxidants and they might say, hey, this has really high antioxidants or an ORAC value or a lab test. But that lab test is very misleading. It's a lab test in a test tube, not in your blood or your tissue or your cells.
Okay.
So when you hold it up to actual testing in the body, that ORAC value, frankly, doesn't mean anything.
Where would I see an ORAC value? Is that like listed on foods or something? Or is that something that a consumer-
Supplements.
Oh, on supplements.
Yeah, a lot of supplements will say this has one of the highest ORAC values.
Mm-hmm.
Some really popular supplements out there. I don't like to bash a lot of names, but they're like the highest ORAC value in the world, all these things. Well, if they worked, then not a lot of people would be sick. Like that's the economic fact, is everyone's trying to sell you something. No one can back it up. How many products do you know that actually have clinical research, which is very expensive to do, on the actual product? Most claim science over here and then have a product that's made completely different than how that science was performed.
Right.
Versus, hey, we have 80 full-time scientists. We have clinical studies on every single product. They're listed in the physician's desk reference, meaning it's standardized to safety,
Mm-hmm.
down to parts per billion, and standardized dosing, which is a fraudulent market just like food. You can say whatever you want. It's unregulated. You can say whatever you want. You can't if you're listed in the physician's desk reference.
Interesting.
You can if you have clinical studies on your actual products. You can't say whatever you want.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm not even doing any of this research. I take so many supplements, and they're the ones that have been recommended to me by my healthcare practitioners or other people that I know who have my same conditions.
Mhm.
It's like the Wild West out in the chronic illness community. 'Cause
Exactly.
Western medicine has abandoned us, blamed us, invalidated us. The people who are really struggling with very real health issues that could be solved when you focus on the cell and you work on your diet, you work on removing the excess toxins, and you work on replenishing your vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, fiber, fat. What was the last one? Oh, so close.
Minerals, vitamins, antioxidants, protein,
Protein. That was
fiber,
my
and
miss.
fat. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. And protein.
And I mean, just to take it back, yes, Western medicine is the smoking gun. It's not Western medicine's fault.
Oh, right. I don't
Yeah.
even think it is. Like, I have a
But so many
primary care doctor
people,
who's
yeah, they're
who's
like,
really
doctors
good.
are bad. And I'm like, They went to school and got training just like a CPA, just like an engineer or anything.
That's a good point. I would actually like to just make a statement on this for the sake of my podcast, because I have a primary care physician here in Austin, and he's really good at what he does. He knows where he's limited. He knows that he's been trained to give me a diagnosis, prescribe a medication.
Yeah.
He often actually asks me, he says, "How can I be supportive to you in your health journey right now?" He knows
An
that
amazing doctor.
Yeah, he knows that I'm going to functional practitioners. He knows that I'm trying to do things holistically, and he's really supportive of that. But he also gave me a lipedema diagnosis so that I could get my lymphatic drainage massages covered by insurance, because that's something that should be covered by insurance.
Yeah.
And he said, if this is something that would be supportive, let me know.
Yeah.
So that's really supportive. I know he's trying his best, and I know he also deals with really sick people who do need prescriptions and things because they don't have the capacity to overhaul their whole life to dedicate it to their health like I did.
That's where we come in.
Okay, so perfect. So let's take us there.
We help with that conversation, that training, that education. And now we're leveraging AI to help with that.
Okay.
So everyone has all this data. You're tracking your steps, you're tracking your sleep, you're tracking calories burned, which is a measurement of heat, has nothing to do with nutrient density. But no one's actually measuring nutrition. So we can measure nutrition inside the cell in 10 seconds. It's giving you a 60 to 90 day measurement, 2 to 3 month measurement, a lie detector test on your diet and lifestyle. Not measuring all of those components, but it's measuring a lot of them.
This is the device that we're talking about.
Yes. It's called
Prysm.
Prysm. Yep.
Prysm.
Hasn't even launched yet. You can't go buy it on a website anywhere. If you need one, talk to me. I'm one of the top distributors. But it's international, and it's backed on 20 years of research. There's Yale's 10-year cancer study on it, Stanford, Harvard, Texas Tech Medical School, 120 published studies, and a lot more coming, especially since now we have a pocket-sized device, because the previous device would have filled this whole room the size of an MRI machine.
Wow.
And it was funded at the University of Utah by the NIH, first for macular degeneration, because your eye docs are actually using high-powered lenses to look at the cells. They can see oxidative stress. They can literally see it. And then they can correct it or measure and see if it's lowered. So we saw that and we're like, wow. And then there were more studies going into cancer and all these other things, because all of them have oxidative stress. All of them have inflammation. No disease claims, but all of them all have low antioxidants, poor nutritional status. That's what metabolic means, right? It's not just how much we burn and how efficient we are at using these nutrients. It also means cell function. Well, how do cells function? Those 6 categories. And if we're not talking and measuring any of those things, then you're guessing. We don't guess. We measure and correct.
And what you were saying, you said that they were all low in antioxidants. Wouldn't that be guaranteed? Because couldn't you, like, is it possible to have inflammation if you have high antioxidants?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So when you were saying that the free radical leading to oxidative stress leading to inflammation, is that like just one example of how that can go?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's if you look up antioxidants on Yandex or PubMed, pick a topic, heart disease and antioxidants, you'll see 20,000 studies and growing. And antioxidants impact every single organ in the body, every single system in the body. They're like those hieroglyphics we were talking about earlier. So if we go back 160 years, nobody knew that hieroglyphics were a language. We thought they were beautiful art on the inside of a pyramid.
Really? I had no idea that that was so new.
Napoleon, he discovered the Rosetta Stone. This translated Greek, Latin, and hieroglyphics.
Yes.
That is the only reason the entire world knows that hieroglyphics is a language, at least in the public's eye, right? Because we've forgotten a lot of technologies. But antioxidants are like hieroglyphics.
Okay.
They are instructions not only for our cells, for our DNA. So when we talk about genetics or epigenetics, epi just means on top. And think of it as a switch, a dimmer switch. How bright do you want that light or that gene? how dim do you want it? It's called upregulation or downregulation.
Mhm.
And we can measure that with what's called gene heat mapping. Very expensive, but now we can target nutritional compounds that know they work on certain genes and certain tissues. We have targeted product that works on 52 genes in the mitochondria
Wow.
and upregulates those genes. Now, mitochondria are everywhere,
Right.
but specifically, these are in the brain, the heart, and skeletal muscle.
Mm.
And for frame of reference, because a lot of people don't understand this about mitochondria either, number one, they're plant DNA. They're not human DNA. There's,
Okay.
yep,
What does that mean?
it means what do plants do? They make energy.
Mhm.
They convert energy from sun and from oxygen and carbon dioxide and nutrients in the soil, but they convert energy through the sun. So a long time ago on Earth, there wasn't much oxygen. There was more algae and stuff. And then there was something called the Great Oxygen Holocaust, and too much oxygen in the atmosphere from all these algae pooping out oxygen. That's what plants do.
Mhm.
They breathe carbon, poop out oxygen. It's good for us, great for them too, but too many caused a global extinction. And in that global extinction is when a little plant said, "Help, I can't protect myself, but I can make energy." And an animal said, "I can help you. I can't make energy that well, but I can protect you." So they got a symbiotic relationship, which is called endosymbiosis, inside and a symbiotic relationship. So female is born with all of her eggs.
Mhm.
All the mitochondria are already there. Sperm just sparks, like literally your car died and we spark it. And zinc does that, which is a global deficiency, like top 3, by the way.
Mhm.
So that's what starts life. And these mitochondria, they're fragile and they're a grid. You don't just have one mitochondria in one cell, like that little diagram in our biology class. Your brain and your liver have 2,000 mitochondria in one cell.
Whoa.
Your heart has 10,000 mitochondria in one cell.
In one cell
Yes.
in your heart, that one cell has 10,000 mitochondria in it?
Yes.
In the one cell.
In the one cell.
Oh, yeah, those science books are flawed. I
Oh.
always thought each cell had its little mitochondria in it.
You're more plants than animal.
10,000.
So this is what shows you they're delicate, but they're protected by the cell. That lipid peroxidation, when you're fighting off the free radicals and inflammation, you're protecting the little plants, the powerhouse plants. It's literally a grid that helps convert all this energy from nowhere. We don't know where electrons go when they bleep in and out of existence. They don't circle an atom. They literally bleep in and out, and due to gravity, it's in a spherical shape. So just some crazy science for you.
Whoa.
But
This is blowing my mind.
you need the right nutrients for that electron transport chain. So mitochondria is another buzzword, right? And everyone talks about it. But how do you measure it? You don't have a great way to measure it that's affordable for everyone. And everyone says, well, everything's a mitochondrial disease. No, that's clever marketing and a catchphrase, and people are just trying to sell you something that says, hey, this helps your mitochondria. But nothing works like that in the body. You don't just focus on one thing. You can't just target your thyroid without it impacting your liver, your pancreas, your digestive system, your hormones. So when we know that the cell membrane, everything's got to get in and out, including that ATP that the mitochondria makes, include the waste products that the mitochondria makes, including the fuel that has to get into the mitochondria, because guess what? The mitochondria has a cell membrane too.
I was just about to ask this because it sounds like the same concept.
It is patterns in nature in the universe. So zoom out and zoom in, and you'll find patterns and be able to reflect and understand how things work. My curiosity about biology. I didn't like chemistry. Now I like biochemistry and I love quantum physics because the intersection of our diet, that's why this matters more. Consciousness becomes before matter, but most of us aren't monks and can't Wim Hof it in freezing cold water for 2 hours. Do we all have the ability to do that? Absolutely. But we're distracted by putting a roof over our head.
Or we don't want to. I really don't. I don't have the desire to Wim Hof it in 2 hours of cold water. And I don't think my hormones would like it either.
Yeah. I did it for a while. I liked it when it was really hot outside.
Yeah.
And it was a good way to start a workout, cool the engine down. I was a semi-pro athlete, so If you can cool your body down, you can push harder. But mitochondria, you got 8 things that all cells do. Every cell, before it does its job, they all have their job. Eye, hormone production, thyroid, liver, pancreas, but mitochondrial interconversion is one thing. Lipid peroxidation is another thing. Glycation and autophagy. Doesn't matter what these 8 things are. They're like dominoes. And if one goes down, they all go down. So if the lipid peroxidation goes down, your mitochondrial energy capacity and function goes down.
Lipid peroxidation is the same as the cell permeability concept?
It is. Yeah.
Okay.
You're doing
I'm following.
fire. Yeah.
I'm trying. I love to learn about the human body, but I'm always shocked at how little I actually learned in school.
Well, no one knows this. And that's the opportunity and the difficulty of explaining all these topics in health that are dominated by influencers, the medical establishment, and everyone, and consumerism, because everyone makes a newfangled product and tries to sell it where it's like, no. Let's get everyone back down to the not so sexy foundations. We're making foundational nutrition sexy again. That's what it is, because that's how every cell works. And before there was an easy way to measure it, now there is, but it's not just the measuring, it's a clinically validated solution. Hey, let's replenish some foundational nutrition, and we can do that based on your financial bandwidth. There's a basic economy version, there's a gold standard, and there's the fancy Cadillac version that has some more added value. And then there's a targeted solution. What else is going on with you? Most people have gut issues, right? So we can give you a gut product that's clinically validated, or a handful based on talking to someone and looking at those symptoms. You can help with sleep. You can lower cortisol naturally, non-drowsy. You can help produce more melatonin in your body with a saffron extract and a warm tea.
So would you also be talking to those people about what was causing their cortisol to be elevated in the first place and what was causing their melatonin to
100%.
not be produced?
So back to parenting, back to science, back to spirituality, meeting people at their pain with compassion. You have an enormous capacity for knowledge and understanding. You're curious. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink, even if it's thirsty. So some people, they just say, tell me what to do. Some people have a few more questions. Some people need a little bit more education because they've been conditioned or programmed or given a lot of not so great information that maybe was one-sided. When I firmly believe that I'm not a healer, I'm an educator. And I'm giving you or anyone else informed consent. I want you to have a better understanding so you make a decision based on what's right for you. You have a great doctor who's in alignment with that. And that's what the world needs more of, is that authenticity. Because when we lead with love, compassion, instead of fear or missing out, and that's normally what consumerism is. People don't have an education, they're trying to put a roof over their head, take this, take this, take this. Instead of, well, maybe I need more education. And that's good science, spirituality, parenting. If you don't know the answer, I don't know. Let me find out. It's a good question. That's what good science is. It was never settled. It's never settled. It's always growth-centric curiosity.
Yeah, I've gone through various phases of my life where I wouldn't have asked many questions. And like I referenced earlier, I think I stopped asking questions because I was depressed with the answers I was getting. And it's because I was asking the wrong people, or the answers I was getting were convincing me that I didn't want to ask more questions. But now that I actually want to understand how my body's working and how to support it, healing the foundational causes of all of my ailments makes way more sense, because I'm like, okay, I want to optimize every process in my body rather than tackle each one individually. I now am aware that I have a functioning body, that all of the parts connect to each other. And as you said, something that affects your thyroid is also going to affect your pancreas. And I was once in a place of my life where I was so busy. I was working all the time and I didn't have time to care. I was like, just give me the thing that will make this problem go away. This is before the mold stuff. I was just working all the time. And it's like, I just need the solution.
And that's why we made it simple.
Yes. So
that's what 80 scientists do. That's what a team of researchers and a lot of doctors and health professionals across multiple specialties, they all use the same things. because they work
Mhm.
and because you can show some measurable improvement. Now, there's always nuance and a couple other things to do, but you get down to it, let's get the foundations right. Then you start making drastic improvement. Then you can own your life and work on the other stressors, not just the nutritional stressors, but these emotional stressors, should you choose. And that's I think the hardest part for most people is discipline. But what is discipline? Self-love. And if you've ever been in a loving relationship or been at a great job that you liked your boss, you liked your manager, your coworkers, it's never just rainbows and unicorns and cotton candy and kittens all the time.
Mhm.
There are challenging conversations. Just like you have to have oxidative stress, you have to have challenges. That's part of nature and life. And that's what makes or breaks everything is how you show up to that challenge and that love in the relationship. You're going to have difficult conversations. I love my wife. I couldn't do what I do without her. It'd be a lot harder. And she brings joy, laughter, play back into my life. And we do that for each other, but she also challenges me to grow. She's like, hey, babe, I recognize this. I've seen this a couple times now. Have you thought about this? That's amazing. That's all anyone could really ask for is an opportunity to grow
Mm.
and not shying away from a uncomfortable or difficult conversation. And that's where most people just want to be the expert or want to be definitive. And it's like, well, let's zoom out and understand that it's not so black and white on seed oils. It's not so black and white on supplements. It's not so black. Not all of them are the same.
Right.
There can be one ingredient that might be made 6 different ways, and you have to call the manufacturer to understand which way they made. And you can't just call them. You go through an email chain and all that stuff or you could go to a company that's been around for 40 years, has never had a recall in 40 years in 51 countries, and invites you to their lab to tour it 4 times a year and meet the PhDs that are staffed to give presentations about their product, and you can ask questions.
And they don't claim to know every definitive answer
Correct.
for all of eternity.
Yep.
I think that alone, I mean, everything you just listed there's so many green flags for why you can trust what you're saying. And also, I think anyone who claims to know everything and believes it's only their way or the highway, that's just such a red flag in my head, especially after having talked to so many different people and getting different perspectives. The people who tend to know what they're talking about are the ones who always leave open the opportunity to learn more.
Yeah.
So I want to go back to the device.
Yeah.
And all the things that we just talked about is kind of the foundational education that you should understand before you understand how the device works, right?
Yep.
Okay.
So this thing, turn it on. It's Bluetooth enabled. There's a smart AI. You see it light up and then see the red light flashing a bunch really, really quick.
Yeah. For anybody who's just listening to the audio, also, this is like, what would you say this is the size of?
Well,
It fits in your palm.
I'm 6 foot and 200 pounds, so it's smaller than my palm.
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty small. It's light. It looks like
Hockey puck.
a hockey puck, or like
We'll call it a
it
puck.
could fit in your purse,
Yeah.
mints, like a mint
Yeah.
capsule. It's really small.
So we do have to calibrate it. There's a little cap that I have to put on top
Okay.
when I turn it on, and there's an app that walks you through that. It takes 30 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And then it is a delicate piece of equipment. So yes, it's portable and everything, but if I'm outside in really bright light, it's going to change it, or super hot if I leave it in my car. This is a clinical instrument.
Okay.
And so letting it be at room temperature is really important. Not just mashing your finger on it. You rest your hand on a table and just put your finger on the device
Mm-hmm.
and just cover the sensor. And in 10 seconds, you'll get a snapshot of your levels of oxidative stress versus antioxidants. But are you actually absorbing enough of fruits and vegetables,
Mm-hmm.
which everyone agrees on? You got to eat plants. Doesn't matter if you're in the carnivore camp, even a lot of famous carnivore things, eat a lot of plants.
Yeah.
And when we say eat like our ancestors, well, which ancestor are you talking about?
Mm-hmm.
And the ones that were very carnivore, like the Inuits or the Eskimos, we don't eat like they did. They ate raw meat on a fresh kill.
Mm-hmm.
There was no vitamin C fruit in their winter. So how'd they get their vitamin C and not have scurvy? They adapted and they knew that when I kill an animal, I need to immediately dissect it and get to the adrenal glands and eat them raw.
Is that what they did?
Yes, because it contains so much vitamin C.
Wow.
And every second that animal is bleeding out, the vitamin C is dissipating from those adrenals.
I'm just putting this together because I know that when my adrenals are feeling taxed, I drink a lot more vitamin C from a supplement.
So that's a good point, what you're saying. Like, everyone's like, oh my God, citric acid is not vitamin C. Neither is the zinc or the magnesium you're drinking. They're not squeezing out a fruit to make it. It's impossible. Especially due to modern farming, it wouldn't even be in it's not in the microbes in the soil and the plants and animals that we eat. That is metabolic dysfunction. So when you look,
the things that support, like, because I know vitamin C supports my adrenal glands, does that mean that if I were like dissected, my adrenal glands would then contain vitamin C? This
they
seems
do.
like a stupid question. As I'm saying
a
this
mammal
out loud,
thing.
it sounds like it is maybe stupid, but I just like, I know for your thyroid, iodine is good, right? And like kelp. So would my
It's a great, the government is trying to make natural desiccated or dried, like liver supplements. Desiccated thyroid works for people.
Oh yeah, like
They're trying to make that illegal.
Like taking organ supplements and
So
stuff. Like when I eat animal organs, it's supposed to help my own organs.
If it's made the right way. That's what people have to understand. Like, yes, in theory, these things work.
Theoretically. All my questions are theoretical.
Right. But
Okay.
there are medically validated desiccated thyroid supplements that are natural thyroid supplements, and they do amazing things for people. Yes. Oh, and or bovine.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes more sense. Like I used to
But
take
they
a
work.
bovine heart, and I think it must have been heart and
Most of
liver.
that stuff is really overrated. Like the liver, yes, but bull liver has way more nutrients than cow liver. And there's some people trying to catch on to that and make a product with it. But mineral support can come in a lot of different ways.
Okay. I'm derailing you. So to take you back to where you were saying that people are talking about eating like their ancestors, but it depends on which ancestors they're coming from.
Yeah.
Okay.
And even our ancestors ate a lot of plants. They foraged. They had a really high potassium intake, which is also a top 3 deficiency up there with zinc. Magnesium, number 4 is vitamin E.
Vitamin E.
Global.
I didn't see that one coming.
Global.
I probably could have predicted the zinc, magnesium, and
potassium.
I would never have said vitamin.
Most people can't imagine potassium, so that's impressive.
Oh yeah,
that's a big green flag
an
for me.
aloe juice drinking phase because my potassium was so low.
Yeah. Well, you had the HTMA.
Right. That was right.
And HTMA practitioners, OligoScan practitioners will all tell you everyone is deficient in potassium across the board. We give saline, salt, but potassium lives inside the cell. So sodium and potassium have to balance each other.
Right.
Then you get out of balance, guess what? That affects your adrenals. Right? Big time, right? But also impacts atherosclerosis. It also impacts fatigue. It's not just the magnesium. Old school Gatorade was potassium. Yeah. It was fruit. It was lemon juice, like that, which is all your fruits and vegetables is where you get your potassium from. But again, it's not as much today. It takes 20 carrots today to equal 1 20 years ago.
Oh my God.
Right. So fundamentally, we're just not doing great, even if we're doing organic. And it's the same thing for your lab tests. You look at like testosterone. Well, the levels, you go back 10 years, you go back 30 years, it was much higher. It was considered normal. But then they changed the parameters to fit a sick society. And we do that in the supplementation space, and that's what RDAs are. An RDA for a nutrient is not optimal for thriving.
What's RDA?
Recommended daily amount.
Oh, okay.
So when you see a product and it has 200%, well, by law, it's got to say that. And people are like, I don't want to mega dose or overdose on everything. Do you know how RDAs were made?
No, and I imagine you're going to tell me. I almost don't even want to know because it's going to make me so mad, but go ahead.
Industrial Revolution, all your factory workers that were starved and very sick, they were how we figured out RDAs. They measured the bare minimum to keep you as an optimal worker.
Oh, the bare minimum to keep you as an optimal worker.
Not healthy, just enough to where you could still work an assembly line. That's where we get RDAs from. They've not been updated.
Doesn't surprise me. Wow, that's actually, I really resonate with that as a former worker bee. I was at a desk job, but they worked me to the bone, and I am not surprised that all the numbers on the packaged foods that I was eating,
Mhm.
that was a bare minimum to, like, keep me alive enough to just keep doing my
So
job.
people look at that and they don't understand, like, "Oh, I'm getting 100% of what I need. I'm good." It's like, "No, you're just not starving."
Yeah, oh my gosh.
Which again, metabolic diagnosis is nutrient deficiency by definition. We just don't
Right,
call it that.
right, and for anybody who's even eating foods out of a package that has those recommended RDAs on
Yeah,
it,
yeah, yeah.
is probably wrong because it's out of a package, so they probably pumped it full of synthetic stuff anyway, like folic acid, and
That's a good topic.
I keep derailing you, but I wanna finish the Prysm.
Yeah. Well, Prism's full of AI,
Okay.
and there's a 10-year plan with this device. So 10 million healthy homes, creating health sovereignty. You're helping medical providers use it in their clinical setting as a vital sign of nutrition, right? And products and supplements that are medically validated, clinically validated, have the studies on them. Say, here's a targeted solution. Women's health, depending on childbearing, perimenopause, postmenopause, even anti-aging at the genetic level. Been documentaries about it 15 years ago, published research, best-selling book, all that fun stuff. We actually own a genetics company that was part of the Human Genome Project.
Wow.
300 million genes have been documented. And so that's how we know certain ones target inflammatory markers of the pancreas and liver and the entire GI tract.
Mhm,
Have an amazing product that helps.
mhm.
Um, but that's what this whole system is leveraging AI, but it's a system. We're integrating Oura Ring. We're integrating Whoop Strap.
Oh, cool.
We're integrating microbiome tests in the near future, genetic tests in the near future. So you have one app at home, but this isn't one device per person. You sell me this device. You're my doc. Thanks, doc. You care about my nutrition, the number one cause of every single diagnosis. Thank you for helping me correct those deficiencies. Now, I don't need to see you all the time, but now you can track my metrics at home, and we've never sold that data ever. Number one, we own the patents. It's a market advantage. Why would we give our best secret away? 28 million people tested is the world's largest nutritional and health study by a landslide. Okay, so there's no way we're giving that information away, and it's your information. It's no different than your blood pressure, though. It's not, when we talk about genetics, that's different, but then you have a login. It's your information. But you sell me this device. Now I have this at home. And guess what? I can make profiles for my entire family, for my wife, for my daughter, our parents, our siblings, our friends, our coworkers. It can create as many profiles as you need. Same thing at the doctor's office. So, really bridging the gap, creating health sovereignty and education at a clinical level for the consumer and for the professional. So, now there's updates. This just launched, which launch party is you're coming, at the end of this month,
Mhm.
global launch. But every quarter, there's going to be massive software updates. You don't need to buy a new device. You have one device for the next decade, and it will unlock additional nutrient measurements, those microbiome kits that will just automatically upload and say, here's what's going on. Here's a way maybe to get more IgG that was low, immunoglobulin G, which is a huge colostrum thing, right? Like everyone talks about colostrum. It's so great. I need colostrum. But all the benefits they're claiming are because of the IgG, and none of those products have a standardized dose of IgG. You know how we know that? It would be on the label. It's
Mm.
not even on the label because they can't make a label claim.
Right.
We can. We have a colostrum that has a standardized dose of immunoglobulin G. And we know from clinical studies that if you give it fiber and chicory root and inulin that comes from that, you have a synergistic effect that boosts the immune system. It closes tight gap junction.
Leaky gut.
Yep.
Okay.
And it's $60 and no one's ever paid anyone to promote it.
So, you said you have a 10-year plan for this. Where does that IgG microbiome testing fall in the 10 years?
This next year.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay, then what does it look like in 10?
that's a great question. And I'll give some insight.
Okay.
The future is not as far off as we think.
Mhm.
So when we're talking about genetic testing and multiple different types of nutrients inside the cell being measured, now we're talking about custom made products for you.
Oh, cool.
Now, we've done the best job in the world about making products that work for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And we're also the only company in the world that has products that can be measured on the device. We didn't invent the device, right? We acquired the patent. It validated our work from Lester Packer, the father of antioxidants and all this great stuff. So no supplement company in the entire world will put their money where their mouth is and say, we guarantee that your levels will improve in nutrition. We will. We've never lost that bet
Wow.
since we've had the device for over 23 years. With
Wow.
all those millions of people, never lost that bet.
That's exciting. I love that what you're doing involves two very different things at once. You are, on the one hand, explaining that human beings function a certain way at the cellular level. That's where you need to address oxidative stress, inflammation. All of these diseases and ailments are being caused from inflammation, which you can address at the cell. And that's universal for human beings because of the way that humans are. And you're also addressing some nuance and some bioindividuality on the other hand. And you're allowing both of those things to be true, which I think is so important. And that's how I approach my health also.
Yeah.
So I love that that is sort of the foundation for this device and your future outlook moving forward.
Education and access.
Mm-hmm.
Don't fearmonger, but educate people and give them access to something that has proof that you can back it up.
Yeah.
You know, like that's the world needs more authenticity. Like that's the new currency.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's wrong is people don't have the education. So they fall victim, myself included, yourself, right? We all have our stories of believing in someone because they sold us something. They're passionate about what they were saying. So we had to try it, consume it. Consumerism.
Mm-hmm.
It's good sales. And that's the problem is everyone's trying to sell you something. But you know, the global wellness industry is almost $7 trillion. The supplement industry is $65 billion to date in America and growing. That health food section keeps growing in your grocery store.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all just marketing. What bottle, what message do I like the most? Because if it all really worked, healthcare wouldn't be the number one fastest growing business in the world. And the sad fact is the most precious commodity, the thing that generates the most money in this country,
Dare I guess?
go for it.
Illness?
A sick child,
Okay. Oh,
lifelong treatment, lifelong insurance, lifelong intervention.
oh my God. It's like making me actually nauseous.
And that's why this is not just about nutrition and cellular health, it's spiritual warfare. And when we step into a place of that authenticity and lead with compassion about truly providing something that is nourishment, which is from God, from Mother Nature, this ecosystem of this vessel of this human. In Latin, humus is soil.
Mm-hmm.
A derivative of humus is human. This body and mind that our consciousness inhabits for a brief period of time is a part of this world, this ecosystem. We're never smarter than nature or God. The body's amazing and always wants to return to its natural state of health, which has other words: harmony, alignment, homeostasis. So we must shift our perspective into a different way of doing business that is authentic and helping the professional, helping the family at home, and leading with authenticity and compassion.
Thank you for that. I want you to talk about health sovereignty
Mm.
because you've been using the phrase health sovereignty or sovereign health.
Mm.
And I want to hear in your
Define
own
it.
words what
Yeah.
that means to you.
Okay. Health sovereignty, we say it a lot. And sovereignty is kind of a big word like antioxidant. A lot of people might not really understand what that means. But it's sufficient, self-sufficient. No one's coming to save you. That's why I was curious. I want to know how to help others. That's why I got into healthcare. It's why I did surgery for 20 years. And I was at MD Anderson, the best cancer research. And I was like, my patients were teaching me so many cool things about nutrition. And we were saving lives. We typically didn't operate on someone unless we were going to improve their life, add some time to their life, if not years. And that's what sovereignty was. But sovereignty is self-sufficient. When we talk about diet, which is your health, in this world, it means more than nutrition. It also means financial. Because unfortunately, in this modern world, in this matrix that you're born into through the womb of matrimony, where we must nourish and protect the matriarch, right? All cultures worship women. And it's the job of a man to protect women, lead them. And that's what a family unit is. Leading them could be very simple. When wife says, babe, I'm hungry. What would you like to eat? I'm leading her. Putting some options out there. That's all it is. So that sovereignty is protecting the family unit. It's protecting your health and your life. So doctors aren't the enemy. It's the system that's set up, right? We all know there's elites that run everything and own everything, and you can't talk too much about it. So I won't either. But your taxes go towards it. Everything you're buying goes towards it. And it's a form of enslavement. So how do you break out of slavery? The opposite of slavery is sovereignty. And when I help people understand their health or aspects of it, when I teach other health professionals or other health coaches or another influencer how to use the knowledge of this company and the things that I know, because I do other things too, like mineral balancing and detoxing and all these other fun stuff, non-toxic products for your cleaning, health tips. That's what my wife and I do. This isn't just our business, this is our life.
Mm-hmm.
And our business is helping create health sovereignty for anyone that's willing to listen. And when we talk about financial health, that can look like a lot of things, like setting up a trust, putting your business inside of it, removing it from the tax system. But you have to have an inflow of finance because this world operates on it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, every physician, every health professional is doing the same thing. And how do you scale a business? Well, you need a system. This is the world's only system that measures nutrient deficiency and corrects it and is moving into the next era of humanity of hyper-personalized nutrition,
Mm-hmm.
which is nourishment, but it's providing financial sovereignty for that professional or for that individual. And that stay-at-home mom can she can have a device as a consumer, but we can make her an affiliate. And then she can earn a little bit more money by helping the rest of her friends and family by measuring and improving their health.
Mm-hmm.
That's putting money into her pocket. Or these providers, it's putting cash back into their practice without dealing with insurance. So everyone likes the idea of it, but doesn't know how to do it. Here's a win-win solution that's creating health sovereignty, and it's kind of a Trojan horse for nutrition into not only the medical system, but across every health specialty, because I have trainers, traditional Chinese medicine docs
Mm-hmm.
that utilize our stuff, our products. One of my best friends, traditional Chinese medicine doctor. Shout out to Bart. I love you. Old friend from college. And he had a serious health condition that ended up in the ER. He's a Chinese doctor. He knows his herbs that are prescription strength, that literally are drugs. Like you can't just go and get these, right? And I never pushed what I do. We talked about it, compared notes about ingredients, and it was fascinating. You know, our founders are from Asia. Michael Cheng and Joe Cheng, no relation. Michael Cheng was the former deputy director of Merck, Pfizer, chemical engineering. He helped bring the first statin to market. And then he left his job to start our company.
Along with the founder of birth control and
rapamycin, Joe Cheng.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they came from Chinese medicine.
Yeah, it sounds like a powerful trio.
Yeah. You just westernized, you took the supplement side where the way you prepare an herb in Chinese medicine is different. We're going down to the molecule and extracting that to the parts per billion, saying here is the active compound, and we know that that works at the cell level or the DNA level,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what this is. So sovereignty is a lot of things. It's your diet, it's your health, it's your compassion, it's your discipline and self-love.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think we should do a demo,
Okay.
if that's okay with you.
Yeah.
So I'm going to use the Prysm device. You walk through the data?
How simple it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the device right now, it does give recommendations on nutrition. It does
Great.
say that we had an amazing study just come out of China. Remember, this is a public traded company. It's not owned by pharma. It's not owned by, BlackRock or Vanguard. They actually got rid of all their shareholder incentives because they wanted to keep performing science and having their business operate science first instead of making decisions based on shareholders.
Great.
So it's a simple app that everyone has in the App Store for Android or for Apple.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's this tiny little cap that we have, and you calibrate the device. Takes a few seconds. It's Bluetooth. Simple. One little button, one click, has a cool little power on, pretty lights, because when we gamify things, it makes it easy for people to understand. And it's like a credit score. You can get one number. It ranges from 100 all the way to 1,000. Low is bad, just like your credit. So,
And it's taking the data from the last 60 to 90 days?
it's a 60 to 90 day measurement.
Okay, so even if let's say I didn't get any sleep last night, I'm dehydrated, none of that matters because it's actually 60 to 90 days.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a lie detector or truth detector.
Okay. So I put my finger on this thing.
Yep. Right there. And I'm going to hit scan guest. It's scanning right now. We, believe it or not, we're halfway done.
Oh my gosh,
And
so fast.
in 3, 2, 1,
It's buzzing.
boom.
All right, so for anybody not watching the video, I just put my finger on this device for like a few seconds, and it's given me a score. It's 410 out of 1,000,
Right.
which could be worse, but could
Good.
be better.
Yeah, and it's green. So red's bad, then orange, then yellow, then green, then blue and purple. Kind of like your chakras. Go up,
Mhm.
it gets more blue, purple, and white. So the higher, the better. You're right on the halfway mark. So you're
Okay.
like about equal in the amount of inflammation and antioxidants that you have in your body. Okay. So
Mhm.
it can always be improved or it can always get worse.
Yeah, and given the amount of things that I do for my health right now, this is so valuable to know because in my mind, I'm thinking I'm doing all of the right things, but I'm also having to take 30 supplements. Who knows if they're working? Obviously, they're not working well enough. And this is showing me that there's so much opportunity for me to have more antioxidants, right? Is that what I'm gathering?
Yeah. And I mean, nothing works in isolation, right? So when we talk about antioxidants from whole food, when you eat an apple, you're not just getting some antioxidants, you're also getting fiber and minerals and vitamins. So our foundational product isn't just antioxidants, not just 40 different antioxidants. It's also a bunch of minerals and vitamins as well that are bioavailable. We actually have over 800,000 studies on that product cited because it's improving nutrition at the cell level, even like serum selenium and vitamin C and vitamin E levels, right? Which all have antioxidant properties, even though they're classified as vitamins. There's a lot of cross pollination. I mean, most things you can,
Selenium a vitamin or mineral?
it's a mineral,
Oh, yeah, okay, that's what I thought it was a mineral.
but it has antioxidant properties. Vitamin C has antioxidant properties. Vitamin E helps prevent lipid peroxidation also, and it's good for hormone production and immune system.
So when you're saying, I think I'm finally understanding this. I think when you're saying that vitamin C has antioxidant properties, do you mean that vitamin C allows your electron to have a pair? It's pairing up the
One of its functions. It does a million other
those would
things.
be like the
Yeah.
antioxidant properties of it?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. It's exactly what that means. And
Okay.
then you break down into the categories of antioxidants because, like blueberries, high in antioxidants.
Yeah,
Get your antioxidants.
I asked you about polyphenols when we first met.
Yeah, green tea,
Mhm.
polyphenols, ECGC, ecogallon-gallon-calate. Big fancy word. All it means is these specific species of antioxidants called a polyphenol. There's also carotenoids. There's anthocyanins, which give blueberries their blue color and red
Mhm.
cabbage's red color. All the blues and reds are anthocyanins.
Is
But
this measuring the carotenoids only?
it is measuring a whole bunch of different carotenoids, but nothing is just carotenoids. Normally there's polyphenols and carotenoids,
Okay.
bioflavonoids, nothing in isolation. So all those studies, that Yale 10-year cancer study, Stanford, Harvard, Duke, all these things, All of them say on this device, this is the best way to measure if you're actually absorbing or eating enough fruits and vegetables, which even the CDC, for all of its flaws, and we know there's a lot of flaws, right? They even say you need 10 to 12 servings of fruits and vegetables a day.
When did they come out with that?
They recently updated it. It used to be 8 to 10.
Okay, because I was going to say, based on everything we know about soil quality.
That's why they did it.
Right. And
but no one was getting 8 to 10.
9 carats is what you need.
20.
20 carats is the equivalent of one from when?
Over 20 years ago.
Only 20?
Mm-hmm.
I thought you were going to say like 150.
No.
Oh, that's bad.
It's
we need more regenerative farming.
And it takes about 80 years to regrow the soil microbes.
Oh,
there are faster ways to do it, but they're not being done at mass. So cool, we got new mandates for regenerative ag. It'll be 80 years until that's up to a new standard.
Yeah.
Right, of more nutrient. But with testing that's easy, affordable, we can now measure prevention, where you might have a low score and you may not be symptomatic, but that's the point. When you get a diagnosis, you get symptoms, those didn't show up overnight. So this is prevention. This is measurable prevention. If you know there's something, a metric that you could improve and it would lower your risk for every single metabolic issue, pick a diagnosis, name one. It's a metabolic issue. If you could lower your risk or improve the symptoms of an already established diagnosis, why wouldn't you do it? You're already spending the money on it. I mean, over 80% of the population is taking a supplement, trying to figure it out. You ask them, I'm taking it. How do you know it's working? I think so. I think I'm feeling better. Wouldn't you rather know definitively? That's where we're moving. And I love cutting through the BS of marketing, of science, of influencers and health practitioners. But it's not out of place of anger. It's out of place of love, where there's a better way.
Mm-hmm.
And no one company makes everything. There's a couple other companies I use. But this one is the most comprehensive and the most validated I've found in the entire world.
And this is data. This is data that you have. It's
your data, your personal data.
Yeah. This is giving you your own data about your body because your body is providing it.
Yes.
But my body provides data all the time. And if I'm not listening or interpreting it, then it's not useful. So
that's the problem. We're also distracted by the work, our life, our relationships, the news, social media, that we're not in tune with the symptoms, the signals that our body is giving us when it's normally screaming at you because your body wants to be healthy. A bird loses a couple feathers, it still flies. A tree is under a rock. It grows around or through the rock. Nature's amazing. Your body's amazing. It wants to return to its natural state. You just have to give it the right inputs, the right signals, and maybe quiet or turn down or stop paying attention to those other signals that aren't doing you any good.
Yeah. This was so helpful for me. I think it's so interesting to learn about how the body works and how to support it. So I appreciate people like you, educators, who are willing to break down the science in ways that I can understand and that my listeners can understand. Not only are you educating, but you're also providing tools to take action on it and to actually change the entire trajectory of someone's future because they have the ability to take care of themselves. So
we're putting that education in your own hands, in your own home.
Yeah. If people are interested in getting in touch with you, buying one of these devices, how can they reach you?
Instagram _holistic_hub, HUB, because it's a hub of information and I'm also someone's hub. But you can email me at Ryan at my-holistic-hub, HUB.com. We can put something in the show note here that goes over the device and what it is. There's a quick little video in there about the device, where it came from, where it's going, and a brief 5-minute explanation of oxidative stress, antioxidants, how environment, sleep, stress, food quality all impact this score, your BMI, all explained in 5 minutes and very easy to understand terminology, including those pesky unpaired electrons.
Great. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Yes. Thank you, Becca.